Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Okay, welcome. Give me a second. Speaker. Hey, I believe you should be on the right speaker.
Happy
Huh.
July 4th.
Yes, happy
Independence Day.
Independence Day, exactly. Now, why is that speaker not showing up? Oh. Huh. Okay. Bluetooth. All right, so welcome to Saturday Coaching Club. People will still be drifting in. Today has a theme, which is flexible body, flexible mind. A lot of the work I do is around flexibility in mind because a lot of the challenges we have is when we get into stuck states or when our thinking isn't fluid enough or complex enough for the situations that we find ourselves in and to be able to model them. And sometimes just adding degrees of freedom, choices, options, possibilities in how we think allows for more freedom. So I've been exploring a little bit more in with Marlo, with my partner, into physicality and how we move through the world. And it's remarkable the number of models or ways of thinking where how I think about how we get stuck in our mind kind of parallels the body. And it isn't that much of a surprise if you think about it, because it wouldn't be a surprise that the architecture of our psychology is built on the architecture of our physiology. So, what this session is going to be about is it's not going to be, moving around too much, right? But we may do a couple of things just to see. And it was spawned from an interesting premise or an interesting idea, which is that very often when people are trying to get more flexible in their body, that it's their body can't, like, it's just mechanical, right? They need to stretch their body, like you've got, it's like a bit of rubber and you need to stretch it. And the idea that a lot of our the limits of our flexibility physically are limited by our mind. We get to the edge of what our bodies can do, and some part of our system goes, either you're not strong enough, let's say you're going down into a squat, right? And then the brain will go, you can't go any further than this because if you do, you're going to fall or you won't be able to carry your weight, and therefore the muscles kind of kick in to stop that from happening. Not too dissimilar from our minds, if you think about it, that we go towards an outcome that we think that logically is fine and is doable in the world, and some other part of our mind kicks in and goes, don't go there, you won't be safe, it won't be okay, it won't be all right. Right? So even the concept of our body is mediated by a mental map, a body map, right, of what we think we can and can't do. And to a large degree, if you think about emotions, many people, it's not everyone, many people are actually just get um, animating what they experience in their body from a mental image of a particular state of consciousness and emotion. For example, let's say someone starts to feel embarrassed. They start to see an image of themselves embarrassed, right? Which is the trigger to set up the physiology and the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts of embarrassment, which then generates an image of them feeling embarrassed, right? Which then creates the feeling of embarrassment, right? So if you like, you could say that the how we know how to respond is cued by how we perceive ourselves to be, the mental self-images, self-concept, self-map of what we think. It's really interesting when somebody is hypnotized and they're given a mental map of themselves that isn't their current state. You know, sometimes they're able to do things they couldn't normally do. You know, you are now a Spanish bullfighter, right? And they will fully animate what they've seen a Spanish bullfighter do. Obviously, it won't be the real thing, with full gusto, um, having never done those behaviors or those actions before. This happens in improv as well. People are able to manifest behaviors and actions and characters that they've never practiced, right? So the only thing that's happening is there's no interference with their current, who they think they are, what they think they can do. So when somebody says, "Oh, I'm not flexible," right? And they go to their body and they collect that information, they test it, they go, "How do I feel?" Right? And then the response comes back of tension. They conclude, "Oh, I'm not flexible." Similar kind of loop, right? This kind of closed loop structure where the trigger provides a response, the response in the body or the mind or the emotions goes off, and then that is the evidence that they are how they are. Does that make sense? These kind of loops that kind of happen, right? So now, many of you with been with me recently know that I talk a fair amount about second order reactions, right? So let's say somebody is going to move towards doing an action or a behavior physically that they perceive to be dangerous. Right? Perceived to be dangerous is not actually dangerous, right? And then some part of their brain or their mind goes, "Stop, don't do that," right? And then the body responds to that signal by inhibiting, contracting, halting, right? It's really interesting that even this can be, I'm thinking about doing this new project, right? And then fear comes up and the body mind goes, "Stop," physically, right? I don't go towards the computer, even though computers are not physically dangerous, right? As far as we know, unless you stick your fingers in them or something, right? So take a breath for a moment and tune into, when we look at change work, we talk about bringing freedom to certain areas of our minds. The one we're going to look at tonight is our own conception of our own body, right? So, first thing to do is close your eyes for a moment and tune in to the map that you have about your own body, right? Where you think it is in space. Because right now, with your eyes closed, you can't see it, right? So, everyone's had the experience of lying in bed and then, they get up in a strange hotel room, and when you wake up, you don't know where you are, what shape your body is in, like whether one leg is folded over the other or not, right? This is a body map. So tune into the map that you have of the fact that you're sitting where you're sitting right now, right? And now in that body map, lift one of your arms, right? And know that some people did it, some people didn't, and both is okay. Some people lifted their physical arm, right? And some people did it just in their minds. So now, everyone put your hands down. Keep your hands down. Imagine the body map that you have of how you're sitting. And then mentally imagine lifting one of your arms, right? And notice the difference between the arm that's lifted and where your physical arm is, right? And see if you can have both of those in mind at the same time, right? So you can have a map that isn't, and then put the arm that's up in the air, the mental one, down until it matches where your actual physical arm is. Because when they're in the same place, you don't need to. Right. So now that you know that you can make a kind of a duplicate, make a body map for where you're sitting right now, how you're sitting. That isn't how you're actually physically sitting. And then have that body map stand up the image of yourself. You stay sitting in the chair. Just stand up and stand next to you. And then sit back down. And then when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Right? And put in the chat how much attention you had on if you like, how much reality, how much was it taking up of the you that stood up and sat down versus the you that was in the chair? Was it like most of my attention was on, I was sitting in the chair and I had like a 2% or 10% standing up, or 2 out of 10, and then I sat back down, or that like all of your attention of your physical body disappeared, and most of your attention was the fact that you stood up and sat down. So your experience was that you stood up and sat down, right? So how much was on one, your actual physical body, and how much was on the imagined one? Right, 80-ish on the map, so the kind of the subtle body standing up and sitting down, 80% attention of the vision I imagine, more on the imagined, right? Most of my attention was on the map of me, not me, right? So this time we're going to reverse it, right? And so keep most of the attention on more on the map in your actual physical body where it is, right? And create a thin, fairly ephemeral version that is also sitting where you are right now, and then stands up and sits back down. And then how many, open your eyes gently. Was everyone able to do that? Yeah. Okay. Yes, no, that was harder. Okay. Yes, be difficult. Right. Now, what this indicates, and this is kind of true of a lot of people, is they're more responding to the map of their body than their actual physical body. This kind of illustrates it, right? So the map that you make of your body, to more of a degree than you might think, determines what you think you can and cannot do with your physical body. Right? How many people have either skateboarded or um, uh, everyone's ridden a bike, or right? We have a motor program that kind of lets us know how to do these things, right? And as far as I understand it, in the motor cortex, when you imagine doing something, a lot of it is fired off as if you're actually doing it, right? Has people heard those kinds of things? Okay. So what we're going to do now is go to, just a minute, Casimir, just go to the same thing, right? And notice the tension in the muscles in the imagined map, and just how you're holding yourself. Mm. And don't try and change it. Don't try and make it gentler. Don't try and make it softer. Right? And know that exactly how you're holding yourself is in response to various thoughts, images, history. If someone's, got a dodgy right knee, they might have all their weight on their left foot, right? Just track that exactly how your body map is right now is in response to feeling certain things, not feeling certain things, compensations that exist not in the physical, but in the mental or the psychological. Right? So in the astral, you could call it the emotional body. Right? And so this is really an intention, and it's nothing more than an intention. Just allow anything that your body is compensating for, trying to protect or defend. We'll just go directly at it, see what happens. To clear, release, and drop away. You may feel a felt shift. You may feel nothing. You may feel lighter. Right? And just intend for that to happen and see if the image that you're looking at auto corrects itself in any way. Either the posture adjusts or some kind of defense that's not necessary anymore softens or loosens. Any adjustment in weight distribution. Mm. And what if two or three more things that have been, the body's been defending or protecting against from your past has dropped away, healed, cleared, released, and the charge on it dissipates, falls away, resolves. Outside of consciousness, what if two or three more things drop away? Things that either you forgive yourself for or you were forgiven for, that you no longer need to feel guilty about. Any kind of closure that's available to your unconscious mind. And notice what happens to the body map that you're looking at. What happens to the shoulders? What happens to the chest? And while we're here, we're just going to do this because it's kind of handy. Just allow your attention, or you can use your physical eyes or just your attention to go to the left and then to the right. Go to the left and then to the right. And then when you're ready, taking your time, gently open your eyes. Okay, and let's have some shares. What did you notice? We all know each other, I think, mostly. Yes, hello.
Hey, hello everyone. So interestingly, the body map without prompting just immediately appeared softer, lighter, um, and then with the prompt to kind of let go and forgive, the mind came in with kind of solutions to fix the things. So I noticed there was just a kind of attention kind of splitting there, but the body map stayed lighter and softer,
Mm.
but it was spontaneous right at the beginning.
Yeah, and so it's kind of interesting that we're looking at how do we resolve stable systems where the physiology creates the thoughts create the emotions create maybe another thought, then back to the physiology, then back to the attention, and these loops stay stable, right? And that each one is the evidence for the other that it needs to be how it is, right? Right. So I've got to keep let's say, for example, a tense body map because I feel tension in my body, right? And nothing goes first, right? Now, the interesting thing here, just by setting the intention to release or drop things outside of consciousness that are holding things in place, there's a shift, right? Now, if you think about, I've set myself a goal to shift my posture by the end of the year. It's kind of remarkable how much has shifted in 1 week. Is because by if you just try and force a part of the system, it doesn't work very well. Right? And so what we're doing is we're going, well, the whole system is thought, emotion, physiology, uh, include everything, karma, contracts, agreements, attention, right? Now, it's not like the body is going to auto adjust kind of instantly. There's things to do with fascia and matting and all kinds of things, right? But we're also way more likely to do the behaviors that are necessary if we've already seen the potential of a future map of what I could look like and how my body could be moving through the world. Right? So everyone take a breath. And what we're doing is we're loosening up the certainty that the body map is a faithful representation of reality rather than it is a construct. Right? So as you start to see that how you map your body is actually a thought, so thought structure, thought patterns, right? And as we see that kind of shifting and moving, right, then the whole system, we can increase our capacity to reorganize around it. Right. Who else? What did you notice when you did that?
I have a question.
Sure. And then Casimir had a question as well. Yeah, Janet.
Um, you've been talking about the body map and you did an exercise with us. So I had my real body and my avatar, I guess.
Good.
And you said something and my thought was, but wait a minute, I do not, other than this exercise, I don't separate myself that way. So how can your premise be correct? Because I don't do that, or I don't do it intentionally.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not real. Okay. Right. None of it, right. So these are distinctions. We're making a distinction between physical and mind. There's actually no distinction between matter and mind, but if you tell most people that, they'll go, "What are you talking about? This is physical, and when I think of a unicorn, there isn't one," right? So we're deliberately making a distinction so we have more degrees of freedom to play with, and then we put them back together. They were never separated, right? But what this allows us to do is to deconflate congealed structures.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was
they
just
don't.
stuck on the literal part. Wait a minute, I don't do
Yeah,
that.
they don't. We're always one system, right? But the issue is whether that system has different degrees of freedom. So if you think about when I was in Denmark, there was a guy there, and he couldn't move his neck at all, right? So in order to look left and right, he would go, right? Now, if you think about like a baby, I think it's I have to look this up. A baby can do like 30,000 different movements. It's all kind of, and then there's neuronal pruning and pruning and pruning, and by the time we get to 10 years old, it's 3,000, and then an adult has 300 because we don't need the other movements, right? Whereas if someone's been a dancer or a mover their whole lives, then they retain this kind of capability of multiple kind of degrees of freedom. So when I say let's separate for a moment the idea of our body, right, to an image of the body, there's some truth in the sense of that there's no such thing as consciousness separate from matter, right? In order to perceive matter, you've got to have consciousness, right? So they're always unified, right? Right? But it allows us to do something. It's a bit of jiggery pokery that allows us to do something we couldn't do otherwise, which is, let's say someone's tense, they can make an image of themselves that isn't tense, right? It's a way of bootstrapping that's more relaxed.
Mm,
And then they can use that response to the seeing a visual of them being more relaxed to feel more relaxed.
very good. Thank you.
Okay? Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same with thinking. People get stuck in a loop of thinking. And so the question is very often when someone's, um, I'm going to say it like this, done too much of the wrong kind of therapy, right? They're just going around in circles. And the best thing to do is forget all that and just come and build something new outside of that completely. So it's an interesting thing of how do we bootstrap ourselves out of stuck states, either physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, whatever you want to call it. Okay?
Yeah. It
Um,
reminds me of what Buckminster Fuller said, Don't try to change the system, create a whole new model or something." Yeah,
that makes the old one obsolete, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Right. So we're making a leap to a new system that has more degrees of freedom, more fluidity between body, mind, emotion, thought, attention, physiology, body sensation, right? And the number of combinations of that when they're all independent is kind of, well, it's way richer, right? You can think of it as the belly dancer who learns how to isolate or separate and different muscles and have them move independently, right? Okay. Anna. So I'm not claiming truth and I'm not teaching yoga, just to be clear, right? But the structurally having more fluidity or more degrees of freedom seems to allow us to do things quicker and more elegantly that otherwise we would bump up against kind of challenges. Anna.
Hi, yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I just wanted maybe to add how, like maybe like a concrete example about these body maps. And I was thinking about when I was a third year medical student and I first saw a patient that had like above knee amputation.
Mm-hmm.
And when I examined them, they were
Mm-hmm.
complaining about a knee pain, which I think we all heard about the phantom pain that
Sure.
is like a thing. And I think it's
Yeah.
very easy like for people to understand and just remind ourselves that there are some maps in our brain. So maybe easier to understand what you were teaching us and trying us to understand. That there
Yeah.
are some body maps, but maybe we are just, some people are more aware of them, some people are less aware.
Yeah.
But in these kind of situations, for example, with the phantom pain, so this is like, I would say like a scientific proof that these kind of maps exist.
Yeah. Ramachandran it did absolutely. So there's some truth to that. There's some kind of sound. Thank you for that because Ramachandran did the studies of different hands and phantom limb pains and all of it. And basically, you can fool the brain very easily into believing that a hand that isn't their hand. Has everyone seen that, the mirror experiment with the hand? Yes, no, no. Okay. Uh, Why is there no sound? Okay, I can't find it. Okay, so basically what happens is a person is there and they have one hand here and mirror. I can't remember. Oh, no, they have uh, right. So they have a hand here. Their real hand is here hidden, right? And here is like a fake hand, right? And what the person does is they stroke the fake hand and the real hand behind the barrier. There's a barrier here at the same time. And the brain goes, oh, this must be my hand. That's how dumb, like how quickly we can move the map. And then, of course, they get out a hammer and smack this one. And they're like, ah, right. Now, but if you think about it, this is what all empathy is like. You can, with some people, you can just tell them, imagine you take someone's hand and you put a needle in it, right? And people go like that, right? So we're kind of using body maps, even if like they're over there with somebody else at the same time. Thanks, Melissa. Is that one that shows it easily? Hang on, I'll just click on it, see if it's one that will work.
I believe this clip shows both, where it explains phantom limb pain and then it shows the box.
This one won't play. You can watch it afterwards. For some reason, it's not playing on my machine. I don't know, really understand why. Okay, so Casimir.
Okay. Just a comment to the body map. Anything basically starts with the imagination that is a thought. So in that sense, the body map could be kind of the start of something else, because it's just an imagination that can become, let's say, if I use the word manifest. I don't know.
Is it just
but
is it
kind
just
of
me,
that
or is it just me, or is your internet? Yeah, Casimir, your internet is really kind of choppy. Yeah, just talk from
okay.
there. Yeah, okay.
Now, is it better at the moment?
Yeah, much better. We'll just imagine your body map now. Okay.
Okay. What I was saying, that you could say that imagination is the beginning of anything, that nothing exists that was not a thought at some point. So
Yeah,
in just that sense,
yeah. So stay with me with this,
okay,
because why don't you switch off your camera, because it's really choppy. Can't hear what you're saying.
better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just thinking about that, the body maps or the new thoughts, anything is started as an imagination, as a thought of something that then kind of, you would say, manifested or coalesced into form. So that could be one approach to having these body maps.
Yeah, it could, but here's my suggestion, right? Because these are kind of, in Buddhism, this would be the mind-only school, or Deepak Chopra's consciousness is prior to everything else, right? Maybe not, right? So all of the people in the secret is like, thought creates everything. Thought creates your reality, but the temptation to make something into a prior agent rather than it's a genuine system I'm going to encourage that we don't do that. That it's not like thought creates your physicality, because actually, things like, if your fascia is all kind of matted up, it creates a map that's representative of that. So it's a two-way system. I think people struggle a little bit to think in dynamic systems because there's no prior cause anywhere, right? So I'm just going to encourage. I know what you're saying, right? Which is that first in the world there were no toasters, and someone had to imagine a toaster in their mind first before they created one, right? But you think about this: a baby that's not having any thoughts still has a physicality, still has a physical body, right? So, in order to reverse the idea that it's body first, you can go, well, what if it's thought first? But I wouldn't stop there and go, thought creates emotion, emotion creates thought. Because people will say things in personal development, spiritual development, they go, it's all created by thoughts. Everything you feel is created by thoughts. But actually, if you have feelings, they create thoughts, right? And then thoughts create feelings. So everything is kind of triggering the next moment of what manifests. And so my encouragement is to think more like that for now. Does that make sense, Casimir?
Yeah, it makes sense totally. It's totally understand that it can be kind of two-way thing. It's not that. And when we were doing that experiment,
Sure.
was mostly in the kind of in the body map, but then at some moment I kind of I got stuck in my physicality, and the body map was very difficult to reach. I don't know what kind of flipped that, but that was my experience at some moment when we were doing that.
Okay, so here's my suggestion. Bring consciousness, awareness to it, because really what we're doing, if you think about it, is we're turning the lens back of our witnessing. A lot of personal change. We never talk about the body, right? So we're turning the lens back onto the body and going, a part of our mental map of reality includes our map of our body, right? But it is very much informed, just like every other map we have, of our physicality, from our physicality. Right? So we're looking at the systemic relationship and where we might intervene. For example, we might go, do you know what? The best place to start is not with the mind, is actually by moving our physical body, right? Right. Whereas if we're doing yoga and stretching, but our mind is going, no, this is not safe, we need to stop, right? We might want to go and look at the mind. If our attention is getting fixated, we might want to bring attention as prior and play with that, right? So we have choices about what we kind of bring as the subject when we're playing with this. And we're going to do examples so it's perfectly clear. Right, Helen.
I think it's similar to what you just said, but ultimately everything's going on simultaneously. And then what happens is the mind organizes it, or the left brain or whatever organizes it linearly. And so that's just been helpful to me to go, well, it's all happening at the same time, but in terms of navigating physical reality, the attention, what's helpful in terms of where the attention is brought. I just wanted to offer that. I think it's pretty well the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Because there is one reality, and then we're carving it up into bits and saying this bit is the agent and this bit is what's done to. And that's kind of useful, but it's a bit more systemic than that. And that's the encouragement today, is to go, there is not two separate things. This is the end, the aim of not just today, but obviously I'm doing this topic because there's a program coming up soon. Okay, so let's look at some slides first. Yeah, that's right. So take this lightly, but basically the premise is this, right? We're going to go one way around just for a moment, which is the edge is a thought, right? So let's say with the physicality, you reach your limit and you say, and something in you says this far, no further. It can be a belief, or it could be a physical limitation. So we keep bridging between the two, right? And that voice is rarely just some physical part of you. It's also the map that your body draws, right? The limits of what you think is and isn't safe and where you can and can't kind of recover from, come back from. All right. So before an actual limit, right, in order to not go past a certain point, our mind will respond, let's call it that, and then our body responds. It's actually embodied, right? So it's not a separate system in the mind, right? So potentially the reason every time you get to that edge, your body will go, okay, no further, is because some part of the brain goes, this is uncomfortable, or this is not safe, or this is harmful, or this is dangerous, right? And where this matters the most is if the contractions in the body are being caused by defense that is emotional, mostly, right? So one thing that happens when somebody is fearful or scared, the response in the body is to protect the physical body, right? Even though there's no actual thing there's no projectile being thrown at the body. Does that make sense? Right? So it's really interesting if you look enough, when you do enough of kind of change work, people will use physical metaphors for things like he attacked me with his words, like how did the words kind of came towards you. It's like, I had to brace myself. I was bombarded, right? It's all physical metaphors of things that are, the sound is over there, obviously the sound is traveling towards you, right? But we are making representations that something is traveling towards you, but actually they're just over there doing their dance. That's what's happening, right? So everything else we're adding is somehow they get to you, like over here. So these responses that we have, this is what we're looking at today. The secondary response. So let's say you're going to move physically. I'm kind of glad Tia's here because I might use you as an example for this, right? And then we're not even going to do anything with the physical body. We're just going to work on the response of the system at the edge to go, you shouldn't go any further. Right? Does that make sense? And we can do it with anybody, right? It doesn't have to be Tia. All right. So, and the mere fact that we're talking about it is already bringing awareness and consciousness to something that usually just remains unconscious. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. So sometimes it's the mind going, no, stop. Sometimes it actually is the tissue if you haven't used it, right? And things stiffen up, fascia and all that, right? But what it means though is if you loosen one up, at least then it's much more easy to work on the other and then come back to the other and come back to the other. Does that make sense? Right. So working with both, part that draws the line and the tissue that forgot how to slide, allows you, if you go back and forth between, and I'm finding it with my posture actually, it's shifting way quicker than what it says in any of the YouTube channels, right? And this is not uncommon. If you do something like Feldenkrais or various body work, and then someone like has an emotional release and they let go of some old trauma and the rest of it, that their posture auto-corrects, right? That they will stand differently, or they'll. For me, just letting you know from last week, one of the things was about standing up straight, right? And in the private school I went to, it was all stand up straight, boy, stand up straight, right? And the irony is, standing up straight as a posture is that I'm visible, I can stand in the world, and I can oppose you. I'm actually standing up to you. You even have it in our metaphors, right? Right. Whereas if you've been told that, classic physiology of shame is to kind of stoop, head down, don't look up, don't look the person in the eyes, etc., etc. So as our posture improves and we move towards these things, what can fire off in the brain is, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, right? Because there's responses that say there's a different physiology you should be having from shame, told off, punished, etc., that says you should have your head down. Does that make sense? So if you're just doing this, you get these kind of wonky compensatory shapes that people get into, right? That don't look natural. They don't look normal, right? So as we start to release the emotional, the psychological, the energetic, and play with how much looseness does that give in the physiology, and then work the physiology, and go back and forth between the two, you're kind of working the entire system. This is what I'm trying to do right now: is give you a larger map where we're not just dealing with the body over here and then the mind over here, right? Everyone talks about mind body as one system, but actually to do it is kind of what we're playing with today. And to some degree, as people get older and they get a bit stiffer, many of them get a bit stiffer in their thinking as well. So it's kind of interesting what that thing is. All right. So the body responds to the map is drawn from the body. It's one system, right? Your brain holds a model of what's safe, what's possible, where the edges are, sets your muscle tone, range of readiness, etc. But the model itself is built from where the body keeps reporting back, right? It's a loop, right? So anywhere where we can intervene to allow this stable system to kind of drop or loosen or soften creates, as Helen told us, a mental image of feeling softer. And then if we're seeing a mental image of softer, sometimes our body responds feeling softer because we're looking at the image of feeling softer. So change either side and the loop changes. All right. So what I'm going to do in a moment is find all the places where we all know intuitively how we brace, right? And I'll come to what that is in a minute. Right, so watch closely at your limit and you'll catch the whole sequence, a flicker of threat. So if I go, this won't work now, but if I go boo, right? Or just just imagine the place where you go to defend or protect. How do you tense when you do that, right? So it's a standard response to perceiving danger that's stored, right? Physiological response, right? So it's the oldest, most loyal part of you doing what it was meant to do, guarding, protecting, right? So the tightness is probably the guard. Clearly, when we trigger it, partly the tissue's lost its glide, but none of it is fixed or rigid, right? We can rework both, and we rework both back and forth. It does seem to move a lot quicker, right? And sometimes, look, there is a reality to this. If you don't move a certain part of the body, it starts to kind of reify. And then it needs working in order to loosen. But in that loosening, if we have a mental loose map, then the two can work together. Okay, so it is reversible. So the edge has two faces, a guard to reassure and a glide to restore. All right, so this is amazing what you can do with Claude these days. Okay, so the basic premise is, and this is what we're going to do, right? So we're going to reduce the charge on the reaction that says, when I get to my edge, don't go any further, right? Knowing that you're not physiologically going to do anything. We can stand up and stretch if you like, right? But that's basically what we're going to do, and see what happens to the range of motion that your muscles will allow when they lengthen, right? It's not that they're not long enough. It's this allowance that happens, right? But we don't push through. And this is the same with individual psychological work. If you push beyond a part of you that doesn't want to do something, you just create more tension, right? And sooner or later, especially entrepreneurs that do this and ignore parts of themselves, and they push and push and push and push, they get burnout. This is what burnout is literally, because if you don't have a part of you that's fighting and you just line it all up and unify it, then what you have is flow. So you don't get burned out. You can do loads of things, So force is the one thing. Pushing harder at the edge is the thing. Pushing that overrides is the thing that causes the problem, right? So we want to go the other way, which is reduce or drop away the thing so that when you get to the edge, there's nothing that stops you going further. Right, so we're not adding flexibility. Right now, what we're doing is removing the disturbances that say don't go as far as you can go, and your body is fully capable of going, and it goes both ways. All right, so lots of ways to regulate, down-regulate the charge. We've done, havening, TAT, tapping, a whole bunch of different things, bringing attention or awareness. We've got bilateral stimulation, going left and right, a whole bunch of ways. Even labeling, right? So if you just go, my body is saying stop when it's actually safe to continue, and see if that lands. So picking the right words, and we'll do that in a minute, right? We work the clothes. So we'll find an edge, meet it without pushing. So you only want to go as far in that direction that the rest of your system starts to go, no, I don't want to go any further. Then you've got the information we need. Then we back off completely and we clear the charge on, no, I don't go any further. Does that make sense? Right. Okay, we'll do it directly, right? So notice the charge, apply a tool, and then let the felt sense of I need to stop go away, drop away, and so we can move a little bit further. Okay, so your thinking and it's the same is mirrored in the mind as in the body, right? Very often when I get to the edge, when someone gets to the edge and I'm working with them, I won't push against the edge. I'll go, well, what happens if you investigate? What happens if you do? What happens if you don't? We do both sides, and we don't try and force anything. Right. So the line was never a wall, it was a guard to reassure and a slide to restore. That's nice. All right, thank the guard. All right, so let's use the TAT pose for this. Put one hand on the back of your head. We're going to do it prior, then we're going to do some kind of stretch and then go back. So thumb and ring finger on either side of the nose, middle finger in the center of the forehead. Take a breath. Right. And this is in your imagination. Imagine getting to the edge of a stretch. Right, because you've done it many times, you have a map of it. Right? And instead of overriding the part of you that says, don't go any further, right, as if you're just mechanically yanking on things, right, say hello to the part of you that says, I shouldn't go any further because, and starts to activate the muscle to inhibit, to stop. And then just as you get to that edge, breathe, relax. Pay attention to where your hands are touching. And all of the origins of any way you need to protect or defend yourself that's not in present time can heal, release, and relax. Any guarding or tensing that a part of you that's absolutely certain it needs can take a look at that certainty. Can you be that sure that you need it any? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And let that heal, relax, and release. Can your mind relax and loosen and soften? And then when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Have a bit of a stretch. And then relax your hands. Okay, so what are you noticing? Let's get some feedback.
I was just really very hot in my body, like suddenly. So I think something was working.
Say again?
I just become very hot suddenly. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So yeah, I can. So with the heat, just like put your hands one couple of hands on your heart or one on your belly, breathe, and then just shake your body, pat it down. Right. These are all kind of indications of kind of energy movement. And it's why, sometimes when we get body work, that people, memories pop up and we burst into tears and things, is because they're not stored in the body, right? Who knows where things are stored, right? But potentially there's holdings that keep certain things out. Let's just put it that way. All right. So let's do this, and then I'm going to ask a few people this. I want you to stretch to where you can get to, right, with your hands. I'm doing it gently, right, and then literally force past it. Go. I'm going to ignore my muscles and what they're saying, right, and force and feels what that's like. It's like you're overriding like demand, like the mind is overpowering the body, right. Now go back to loose again, right, and now start stretching, but use the minimum force needed that your hands are still moving, right. And feel everything, right? And qualitatively, how do those feel different? What did you notice? Yeah, Helen.
So the kind of stretching as far the first one, yeah, there was something going against something, and in the second one, it was interesting. As opposed to the force upward, well, the force upwards was there, but there was also this just really minute sinking back into, and then up again, and then sinking back into. So it was just more fluid,
Right.
like
So
bidirectional. Yeah.
right. So and if you think the psychological equivalent of this, what's happening is this, is we're getting to an edge, right? And then we're coming back and as we ease off, acknowledging and letting the system reintegrate so we can go further. Then coming back and going forward. Zivard Slavinsky, who's a Yugoslavian mystic, he said, one of the key methods was this going back and forth between opposites. First one fighting, second one breathing, less agenda, yeah, no pain on the second one. And so this idea of going back and forth between the two states, let's say you want to make a change, usually what people do is let's say when you want to go to A to B, they go A is bad, B is good. I'm trying to get from A to B, right? Tia saying it, right? But a different way to think of it is you're giving the brain the information of what is different between A and B. And so what you're doing is you're not saying one is good or bad. You're just going, what does A feel like? What does B feel like? What does A feel like? What does B feel like? What does A feel like? What does B feel like? And the brain gets the distinction. It builds a map of the differentiation. How do I get from A to B? Right? And we're also kind of going meta too, and we're also reducing the value judgment. So we're reducing resistance. It's a lot of things happening with that. All right. Who else? What did other people notice?
I feel like in the first version, it's like the muscle hugging the bone and like picking the bone up. In the second version, is I feel like the skeleton of my body like stacking and working instead of the muscles.
Okay, nice, right? So it's like I'm going to say it differently. You tell me if this is right. There's more unified action. There's more of you trying to do the thing rather than part of it fighting against itself. Does that
Right,
make sense?
exactly. The whole skeleton of the body moving together to make the shape happen.
Right, right.
Yes.
So Marlo will tell me off. She goes, "Stop teaching my stuff." All right. So everyone, take a breath, right? And rather than like just trying to get the result, let that learning land. the intuition about sometimes the way we move in the direction we want to is we get to the edge and then we move forward and backwards, forwards and backwards. And it's in the backward step when we ease off that we let everything that isn't helpful drop away. It's a yielding or a surrendering. Right? So we ease off a bit. That's that easing off, the relaxation of tension, because we've activated it. And now we're releasing, easing off in order to allow it to shift. Then we move forward, then we come back, then we move forward, then we come back. Right? We're loosening at the edge. Right? And this is the same mentally. Because we all know what happens when we start fighting with parts of ourselves. This doesn't work very well. Right. So, all right. So, who else? What other insights are you getting? Because we're learning a pattern, right? Which is going from cause and effect at Newtonian yang pushing to much more systemic understanding, stimulus, putting in input and seeing what our system does with it. And we're languaging, we're talking to, well, we're using our body for this, but it could be the mind, right? We're languaging what happens when we converse with our body. It's a very pensive look, Roy. Yes.
Sorry, I'm muting. So I'm following you and I'm doing the exercises and you know, playing with that, observing it. I guess I'm still struck by your original instruction to do nothing and observe where this tension is coming from. And it's just surprising to me because I was feeling sort of a really almost aggressive sort of position, or you know, my brow is furrowed. I'm you know, I'm standing tall and you know, forward in my mind, right? And
For sure.
probably physically to a lesser or less obvious degree to anybody
Sure.
else. But if you make me pay attention, that's how I'm feeling, right? And I'm doing your exercise, but I'm very struck by the fact that I'm even that way, or you know, because your original instructions will think back where this may be coming from. And I can't really place it, but I'm definitely feeling it.
Right. So the nice thing is we don't need to know. Okay? Right. So close your eyes for a moment, tune into that, right? And you don't even need the answer to this, but tune into this question. I need this tension because,
Mm.
right? If I didn't have it, then what? If you can allow what emotional feeling would come up. I need this tension because how it serves me. Like why it was set up, the intention. If I didn't have it, if I didn't have it, then what does your system say would happen?
Yeah, I can relax and there's a weight that lifts. Um, there's you know, physically there's a dropping of the shoulders. Uh, I felt it more rather than lifting. Um, just I put my hands to my side here and doing that, what you just said. I felt a stop here from my neck and shoulder, and this arm couldn't stretch as far downwards, right? But as I do your exercise and release whatever is holding that back, it definitely stretches further. I take away the you know, the resistance. It definitely goes further, and I don't feel that pull.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that we start to realize we are the ones, which is the same psychologically, we are the ones doing our experience. Right. And I don't mean it in an Advaita terms. Let's just keep that out for a second. Right.
Mhm.
But we are reclaiming that at one time we set this up for a purpose, for a reason, right? And then finding out we don't need it anymore. Right.
I am still admittedly stuck though on why this is, but
Okay, that's fine.
I'll practice. I'll work on it.
Yeah. Put it
But
this way, for now, just take the win.
yes, win.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Who else? Now, notice that like I don't even know, like I have a body, right? But these are universal principles. They're to do with dynamic systems rather than specifically with the body, right? Anna.
Yeah, I can share also. So for me, what I recognize is that with the first exercise, I recognized that my whole body become tense, because I was forcing myself, like overriding the move, like the
Mhm.
stretch. And then the second example, when there was no this pre expectation that it's going to be hard. So my
Mhm.
whole body relaxed, and then I think the move was just easier. So it was really interesting. I think I just saw how much I have been like contributing, because if my body is like, if my whole body stands, then there's no way that I can move further.
Yeah, and then we
So
use more force,
yeah,
right?
more force. Yeah, with the more force, I understand like the muscles are tense, then they won't stretch because they can't. So it was really interesting what I observed.
Very cool. Very good. All right. Thank you, Anna. And who else? Yeah, Maurice.
Hi. So I've always had very tight hamstrings. So I can't like about half I can when I people touch their toes, and my mother used to do it until she was like 85 or something. But I
Yeah.
can never get much farther than halfway between my knees and my ankles.
Mhm.
Is that like is that a physical thing, or is that like a mental thing?
So, um, just like I said there, it's probably some combination,
Okay.
right? So, um, close your eyes for a moment and imagine your very tight hamstrings. Okay. Now, how much, just keep your eyes closed, but just to answer these questions, how much give is there in your mental image?
No.
None, right? So, because it's a mental image, right? What happens if you go further?
I'm kind of coming up against a hard stop. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So even though you know it's imagined, right? So you could make it soft if you wanted to, because it's imagined, right? There's some kind of thing that says, no, I can't, right? Because it's real, right? It's read off the body. All right. So we're not going to do that. Leave that one alone, right? Because that is like saying this is how it is, right? Create a new image, right, of you in 3 months or 6 months, right? And given what we've said today, is new information, right, which is that to some degree it may be your hamstrings and they need to be worked, but to a large degree it probably isn't, right? Many people who can't touch their toes can learn how to touch their toes in a month, right? Just go on YouTube, you'll find out, right? So given that, see if you can make an image of you in 3 months' time, right? Where you've been stretching every day, right? And when I say stretching, I mean literally allowing, basically not tensing rather than stretching, right? Not inhibiting. Then mentally, what happens in terms of creating an image of you being able to get further, not all the way to the ground, just further. And what happens?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Now, how loose or soft does that mental image compared to the one that's kind of today?
A lot looser.
A lot looser, right? Now, when you the point is this, when you do your stretching now, right? If you have the current image, it'll be like, no, don't do it because you'll tear something. Right? Whereas if you have the new image from 3 months from now, you can kind of go, well, I'm not going to do it in one day, right? Right. However, it decouples this closed loop of going, well, I can't go any further because otherwise I'm going to hurt myself, right? Right. So right now, and it's in imagination, how much do you think you could stretch? I'm talking about small amounts, right? Moving towards this image for 3 months from now, right? Compared to, and we're just compared to if you had the image that you have now of like it's rock solid and there's no way to shift it.
But I mean, in my mental image, I can touch my elbows to the ground. There's no, I mean, that's, just kind of makey uppy, like.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine, right? But here's the point is that at least now you're not fighting a mental map that says I can't do it, and if I try it, I'm going to get hurt, and it's futile, and there's no point,
Okay.
right? Because if you have that image, you're definitely not going to do it.
Okay. So like if I'm doing stretching, should I make an effort like to think of the mental map that I had of 3 months from now?
Yeah, so I would do that, and then there is methodologies to stretching that isn't just stretching muscles. That's not the whole story, right?
Okay.
There's tension under load, there's passive, there's active. Marlo's been teaching me, I've been watching YouTube, right? So it doesn't mean that you just go like, I just imagine myself like flexible, but it will make a difference potentially, right?
Okay.
Because mentally, if you've gone, I cannot go past this point, it will kick in,
Okay.
right? So we're doing both, right? We're doing a bit of the mental one, a bit of the physical one, a bit of the mental one, a bit of the physical one. Right.
Okay.
And certainly from my own experience just in this last 2 or 3 weeks, right, there's a felt sense of the most reorganization happens in the middle liminal space. It doesn't happen when you're really, really fully trying to push it, right? It actually happens in the middle ground, right? Not too tight, not too loose. And it's the same with the mind, actually, right? So the fact that you can make a mental image, if you think about any kind of other change work of you in 3 months' time touching the ground, and then you go on YouTube and you find that actually there's ways to do this. You can get an app and you can do it in a month, right? Right. Here's the thing. When you're actually doing it at the beginning, it doesn't make any difference. You don't see any difference. Right.
Okay.
But really it's the information in the brain that's saying, we're learning, and it's the same with entrepreneurship, right? Nothing, 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 nothing. When I work with people in the inner game, nothing, 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 and then they go out and they start doing stuff, right? Right? You're reworking the internal body map of how capable you think you are of getting the outcome, which will change whether you even do the activity or not, right? And how old are you? Same as me.
57.
Yeah, I'm
57.
55. Yeah, I'm 55, right? So it's very unlikely that it's purely physical and that you can't do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Any other thoughts, comments? And then Tia, if you're open to it, we're not going to actually do any stretching I'd like to kind of try something with you if you're open to it.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you've stretched, right? And you're practicing. Okay. So what happens when you get this? Because you have all the maps now of what happens when you're in the situation, right? And maybe if you're open to it, you did it last time, you can do something, but not right now. So what happens when you get to the the edge of? So let's start with this. Let's start with the goal.
Mhm.
Right. Right. So describe the goal. It was to sit in. Is the same one? Should we use that one?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
A
Right.
squared split.
What's it called? A square split.
Yeah.
Okay. And at what point can you go so comfortably that it's not even a strain? Like that, like 150 degrees, 120 degrees. At what point do you have your legs such that it's like this is easy? It's not even
It's
hard.
easy.
I mean, you might have to hold yourself up, obviously, but
Well, I'm almost like 160, but I wouldn't say it's still uncomfortable, but it's
okay.
not that
So what about 150?
bad. The discomfort is still there, but I know
So
for sure I can do.
say again?
The discomfort is still there, but it's something that I know for sure I can do, like cold or like unwarmed up.
Yeah,
All that.
got it. All right. So notice something, which is even when I asked you to back off to when there's no discomfort, you still went to the range where there's discomfort.
Right.
Okay. Even though I asked you, where is there no discomfort? You won't forget that. That like it's literally like, well, that's embarrassing and a shame. Like I'm not going there. That's a failure. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's how strong the demandingness is that I must perform. I have to like 110 degrees is unacceptable.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
true.
So 0 to 10, how strong is that? It's completely unacceptable and I cannot allow it.
Well, it's not even for me, it's not really a shape that serves the purpose of the training that I'm doing. So yeah.
I know, right? Exactly, right. So it's complete failure.
Yes.
Right. Okay, good. So can you feel that sense of, well, that's
Loath,
unacceptable, it's not doing anything, it's a waste of time. It's what, sorry?
loathing.
Loathing. Okay, so tap here. Even though I have this loathing
Even though I have the loathing
for anything that isn't like deep into it,
or anything that's not deep into it,
I love, honor, and accept myself anyway.
I like to honor myself anyway.
Yeah, I love, honor, and accept myself anyway.
I love, honor, and accept myself anyway.
Uh, before discomfort
Before discomfort
is completely unacceptable.
is completely unacceptable.
Yeah, and it's not even the exercise.
It's not even the exercise.
It's complete waste of time.
It's complete waste of time.
So I go straight past, I don't even know where comfort is.
And I go straight path. I don't even know where comfort is.
So I just go straight past it into discomfort.
So I just straight go past it into discomfort.
And I might be missing the range where change is easiest.
And I'm missing the range where the changes is the easiest.
And when I can bring all of me with me.
And when I can bring all of it with me,
All of me with me.
all of me with me.
You know, like you said earlier, I can bring my whole body if I go, right? Rather than, right? So take a breath for a second, right? And now you understand the logic of what we're doing. We're going from 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, right? Right? And we're taking out the judgment, right? So we can find the place which is the optimal place to bring all of you with you.
I see.
You got it? So take a breath. Now, if you're enrolled in this new philosophy, how much is the loathing now of if we start at, you know, we're still doing it in our heads, but like 120. I want the place where there's no discomfort at all, where it's just trivial and there's no stretch happening.
Right. I think now I don't have any like opposing thoughts from being there, but it feels like a path towards a goal. So it's something that I want to quickly get over with, if possible.
I know, right? So exactly. So tap on the side here. I'm bringing so many authoritarian thoughts to this.
I'm bringing so much authority. Say that word one more time.
I'm being so demanding
I'm being so demanding
of my body,
of my body
right? That I'm not even acting in harmony with it.
that I'm not even acting in harmony with it.
So how do I expect to have wholeness in my body
So how do I expect to have wholeness in my body
if I'm pushing it around and pushing and squishing and stretching?
if I'm pushing it, squishing it, stretching it?
No wonder it's defending itself.
No wonder it's defending itself.
Who wouldn't,
Who wouldn't?
right? It's not nice to be forced.
It's not nice to be forced.
But surely if I don't force, how am I going to get more flexible?
But surely if I don't force, how am I going to get more flexible?
Maybe it's the forcing that's causing the defense.
Maybe it's the forcing that's causing the defense.
If I ease off, maybe my body will ease.
If I ease off, maybe my body will ease.
Okay, take a breath. And what do you notice happening?
If I can be honest, it still
Yes,
feels
please,
to me
please.
like a protocol in order to get to my goal. So
It is.
yeah,
It's just it's a smarter one
right,
than forcing,
right.
right? Sometimes less is more. You are still trying to get to your goal. There isn't any doubt about that.
I
But
see.
just not in a very controlling, demanding kind of way,
I see.
right? So with this, we still got to the goal, right?
Mhm.
But we just didn't override our own system in order to get there.
Mhm.
Because if you try and override your system, guess what happens? It
It tenses.
it tenses, brings up defense. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So where would be the range of where like you're going from comfort to discomfort? So just the liminal space, the edge.
I would say like 100.
Okay. Right. Now, what's that judgment?
Oh, it's just like at first I wanted to say like 120 to make myself, but then I remember to be like honest to my body, so I said 100. So it's not really, it's the judgments is towards my performance, being like performative.
Excellent. Right. So I was wired for performance.
When I felt performance,
I was wired for
I was
performance.
I was aware that I was being
Uh,
performative.
um, um, my what's another way to say it? I was told performance was everything,
I was told performance was everything,
and I have to perform.
and I have to perform.
And if I perform, then I get all the credits and the accolades and the merit.
And if I perform, I get all the applause and credit and
Praise,
praise.
right? And if I don't perform
And if I don't perform,
and then tap here, what happens?
I'm just wasting my time.
Yeah, and what feeling goes with that?
Time not well spent, like a lost opportunity cost, basically.
Got it. All right, tap under the eye. And here. Right. So you at the moment, the worldview is achievement is everything. Okay.
Sure.
Right. Okay. Um, and so the world is about achievement and success, right?
Sure.
So I have to succeed. I cannot fail.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it might surprise you to know, I'm going to show you this, that level of human development is not very far up the chain. Okay. Which is ironic because and this is not to make you feel bad. There's a reason for this. I'm showing you this. Hang on, I'm just opening it up. Okay, so this is levels of development, adult development it's a few different adult developmental researchers, right? So the premise is that we move through kind of child stages of development, right? And so here is achiever, right? Where achievement is like the be all and end all of everything, right? And you can tell if someone's an achiever because what they say is, can you tell me what 8.5 is? Right? Right. So what this is saying that there's much more other ways of perceiving reality than just success, failure, or achievement. Right. And so if you think about the lens we look through, let's say you did pottery, right? And you had no intention of, well, no, let's stick to pole dancing, right? Let's say with pole, the goal was not to do a move you can't yet do. It was just to enjoy moving. And that constituted success. You're looking at me like I'm saying like an alien, like I'm saying the weirdest thing you've never heard.
Well, I think that's a very good goal for some people, but it's like personally, I don't resonate with that as much.
I understand. Now, here's the challenge, which is in order to get success, right, in what you want, achievement, the way you're going about it, which is to push and force, actually slows it down. What do you think?
Possible.
Okay. All right. You remind me, there's Tim Ferriss, who's like Mr. Achiever. I don't know if you know who he is.
Not
The
really.
4 hour work week. Anyway, he wanted to learn various things, right? And like in one week, so he'd learn drumming, and at the beginning of the week, he'd learn how to drum from Stuart Copeland, I think it was, of the Police. And then at the end of the week, he'd drum in front of 10,000 people, like do a song, right? So it's like rapid learning. What's the most efficient way to learn? And see, efficiency is a very high value of yours, right? But if I say to you how you're going about it currently is inefficient, and it could be a lot quicker, right? That should appeal to you, right?
Yeah, it does.
Right. And the way you make it go faster is to find the liminal space, the range of comfort to discomfort, and then move that edge forward. not the end, because if you do it at the end, you totally logically now understand why your system's going to defend and block and resist and why it will be so hard, right?
Yep.
So just a reordering of going, I'm going to move some of my practice towards playing at the edge of comfort to discomfort, where I can integrate the change, not at the end where my system just has to defend and block and resist and fight, and then I just push harder and I get into a fight, and it actually takes longer. It's very inefficient. That should appeal to you. That should appeal to you.
It does, totally.
Okay, so what happened with Tim Ferriss is he learned how to surf. This is more for everybody, but and from Laird Hamilton, who is a world-class surfer. And Laird Hamilton's like, with the sea and with the ocean, like you cannot control it, right? And he's talking about life, but it's the ocean. He's a mystic, right? And he goes, you can't control it. You have to go with it, right? You try and fight with the ocean, you're going to lose. But if you learn to work with it, then you can harness all of that power of the ocean into your surfing. Right? So he's teaching Tim Ferriss, and Tim Ferriss, by the end of the week, is going to do a challenge, and he doesn't know what the challenge is. Right. So he does the whole week, and at the end, he's talking to camera, and he goes, "I don't know if I learnt enough. I don't know what the challenge is. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do it." And Laird Hamilton comes up to him and he says, "Look, Tim, I'm going to give you the challenge now." He goes, "To be honest with you, I'm not sure you're going to be able to do it. Right? But give it your best shot. Do what you can. Right? Your goal for today is to go out and have fun." And you see Tim Ferriss's face, like he's confused and none of it makes sense. He's like, "But what about the challenge? And like, how do I succeed at that?" And like, right. So it's a shift of the frame, right? All of it. I'm still ambitious and successful and want to achieve things, but I'm not attached to it, right? And life gets a lot more fun. I'm going to make a leap here. I had Indian parents, right? Asian parents, right? And they basically prioritized achievement over everything else, right? So when I got all my A grades, I got 4 A grades, 2 S's and 1s when I was 18, and got in, went to Cambridge University, made them happy. I was miserable, right? Because to me, the pinnacle of achievement is having a fully rounded life. And some of that is moving achievement into its perspective of being a part of life, not all of it. Right? So if you really want to achieve, I think, like success across the board in terms of freedom, happiness, ease, then having achievement at the top doesn't get you there. So, all right. All right. When you tune in now and you go to the space of like 100, let's just do a little bit on this, right? 100 is comfortable, 120 is uncomfortable or just some discomfort.
Yep, correct.
Yeah. All right. So put your hand like this, right? Right. Notice the discomfort. This is 120 over here. Okay. And 100 is over here and it's comfort. Okay. Okay, so leave that hand down, right? So I want you to do this, just mentally, just imagine what your muscles are like. We need to go back to 100, like this, right? And instead of thinking of that as failure or less, all right, we need to pick up some of that comfort, right? And what would happen if you brought it over here, right? And then breathe. And let that blend and move over. We're doing a visualization, but you can do this when you're actually doing it physically. And then go back again and get some more comfort. Right? And then bring it back over here. Right? And what you're doing is you're signaling to the part of your brain that would other tenses up against discomfort that it doesn't need to. Right? Because otherwise you've got this loop, right? Discomfort creates tension, tension creates discomfort, discomfort creates, I've got to stop this, right? So it's a loop, right? Go back to comfort, breathe, and then bring that into discomfort so that the discomfort becomes more comfortable. And can you feel a physiological change? Because our body map is, I don't know, near motor cortex is working all the time.
I found
what do you?
oh, sorry.
Yeah, what are you noticing?
I found my breathing becomes like stronger but slower as I'm imagining this.
Good, right? So back to here, and then to here. And what else happens in your body when your breathing becomes slower and stronger?
My mind feels sharper.
Okay, good. Okay, because there's less noise, basically.
Yeah.
It's not all being taken over by discomfort. And then back to here, right? And then bring it over. Okay. Because what you're doing, a bit like Maurice did, is you're building a body-mind map where 120 is comfortable, which has never existed before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm encouraging you to go and do this physically, right? Because it would be a weird setup to do 110 and 120, right? But I'm showing you a new methodology that if you practice it, even in 1 or 2 weeks, you'll see changes potentially in what you notice in terms of, because the more that comfort window goes, the less your body has to tense in that position.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, thank you. All right,
Thank
so thank you, Tia. And this applies, is everyone thinking parallel of applying it not just physically, but also psychologically? Right, so let's do an example with somebody with a psychological equivalent who has something like that. Yeah, Chris.
Well, I guess when I think about, I'm thinking about my garden and the physical work that I do in my garden, and a lot of what you were just talking about just now about achievement. I feel like I have a very strong achiever element of my personality. And even though I wouldn't say that my life overall is being driven by that, because I'm like, I don't have a full-time job, or I'm not building a career. But but like when it comes to like the garden, I just kind of I get obsessed, and I have a need to have it look a certain way, even though I also really enjoy it. But I've been kind of just what happens is I'm finding that my body's not able to do what I think it should do, or what I want it to do, and so I've been experimenting with approaching it with just, well, I really like being in the garden. What if I just gave myself an hour to be in the garden and not worried about trying to do these things? But and then it's definitely more relaxed. But I find that I keep repeatedly pushing myself to the point where my body kind of forces me to shut down. And related, I'm having a visitor stay in my house next week when I'm not here, and I don't really have the energy to like pick up the house and clean the house. And I realized when you were doing that processing just now that like I was imagining like just what are the consequences of having this visitor come in. It's a friend. It's like I'm not renting it, but somehow having the house not be up to this standard was creating a lot of anxiety for me. So I feel like there's it's sort of through this whole thing I've been thinking about, it's not, I guess in a way it's a limit of the body, but it's more about what I'm pushing my body to do in order to achieve or perform. And so that's what I've been processing.
Yeah. So, you willing to play with this a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, notice the moment when you actually don't want to do it, and you push yourself with the gardening, right?
Yeah.
Now, just for this moment, tune into the part of you that doesn't want to do it. Right? And it's the response to being made to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we try to make and the problem is, I mean, if we've socialized where people made us do things, forced us, right? We just end up doing it to ourselves, right? Right, thinking that's the only way to be, right? Rather than learning how to relate compassionately to ourselves. So hang on. So think about that part of you, right? That doesn't want to do it because you might have been out there for like an hour or two already, right? And just for this moment, drop into that and relax your body. Right. And just like we did with the arms, right? I want you to use the smallest amount of force to do the thing. Let's say it's digging or whatever the thing is, right? And use so little force that it doesn't actually work. It doesn't actually overcome the other one. Okay? And then see if you can tolerate the fact that it's not working. It's an experiment in how do I raise the tiniest amount of effort, right? And now have that little bit of effort and now wait and see what happens. This is you giving your body, the two aspects, you're giving them a chance to integrate. You're holding two opposing states of consciousness in mind at the same time until they inform each other. But you're not forcing them to integrate, and you're not forcing one side over the other.
So
So
the two
to repeat,
sides are
yeah,
the part of me that doesn't want to do it.
Yes, there's a part of you that doesn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to introduce a little bit of energy of, come on, do it. And hang out with both of those in mind at the same time. Let those two integrate first.
Mm.
And what do you notice with the state that is the integration of those two?
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's less at stake. It feels a little bit more relaxed, and also the scope of the project changes.
Okay, all right. So go with this state, right?
Okay.
Where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Right. So, and there can still be reluctance. And now introduce just a tiny amount of the energy of wanting to do the thing, the drive, the motivation, the body activation towards the outcome, until those two states integrate.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what do you notice?
Well, I noticed, I mean, there's a part of me that's just like, yeah, I don't want to do it. Like,
Okay.
There's a part of me that's just like, yeah, like, oh, I don't have to do it. What a relief,
Okay,
Why am I
good.
doing this? And that's not, so I guess just, I mean, there's a little bit of reluctance to kind of like,
Yeah,
like do
hang
the
on.
other part. Yeah.
Here's
But do
why.
it anyway?
Because
No.
yeah, do it anyway. Here's
Okay.
why. There's an assumption that the net outcome is going to be that I'm going to do it, and I'm trying to make myself do it. It's not
Okay.
what we're doing. It's a genuine exploration for you of what happens when you use this body-mind state, when you go, oh, I don't have to do it, and you introduce a little bit of motivation of what happens when you introduce a little bit of the energy of to do it.
Mm.
It may be that even this one dissolves. We're just going for unification, unified.
Yeah, I guess I feel like I have choices in what that energy is.
Correct.
Like one of them one of them is like a vision of like the entire garden completely weeded and mulched that looks like a photo perfect garden, and
Right.
then the other is like, oh, it's nice to just kind of move my hands through the dirt. Um,
So what we're doing is rather than a single fight and two single representations that fight with each other, you see how you're getting richness. There's, oh, these other mental representations are coming to mind that aren't either of the fight.
yeah, one representation is that I could get somebody else to do the work for me.
That's true. Right. Was that perceived as a possibility before?
In the back of my mind, I was kind of like, would that, it occurred to me like this morning,
Sure.
actually. Yeah. But it
Yeah.
just came up again now that like in the mix of like energetically, I guess. Um,
And if I ask you this question now, even though we haven't even got to a resolution, how much of an internal fight do you feel with yourself right now compared to when we started?
um, less. It feels like there's um, more texture or more dimensions to this thing because,
Yeah.
you know, having the garden actually has some real practical benefits.
Hmm.
Um, and there are reasons to cultivate the garden that are not just uh, either for exercise or to achieve something. It's something that, so there could be, if I kind of bring that into the mix, which is a shift, and I think this has always sort of been a pet project that I've been very identified with. And I think that has loosened a little bit.
Right.
Um,
And here's the irony. We're still not giving up the goal. We're just not being so tyrannical about it.
mm,
Right. And so the the thing is, what's happening is this: with the first sight of resistance, we're not doubling our domination over it. We're including it, and then resistance tends to dissolve because we're not fighting with it.
mm.
And we're not buying into the if there's resistance, I'll never get my outcome, I'll never get my goal, because that clearly isn't the case. And many, like you're seeing, many more possibilities start to become available.
Yeah, and I have noticed because I've been reducing my time. I'm kind of playing with this and reducing my time, and then that I spend out there, and then I noticed like, oh, actually, there's a lot getting done. So it did occur to me. I was like, am I like, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, well, it's a good point because we usually many people measure productivity by how exhausted they are and how much effort it took,
Mm,
right? Rather than actually sometimes we're just getting on and doing things and it feels effortless and a lot gets done. And we also can almost feel guilty or like, how did all that get done? Because if we're codifying success as overcoming resistance, then we need resistance in order to feel successful. Right?
yes,
So,
and that literally, like with the garden and the land, it's like it's the physical activity. It's like cutting down trees, dragging things, and doing this all day is a feeling of accomplishment. And
right. And so I want to be clear, we're not
yeah,
talking about not doing that. We're talking about not fighting with ourselves while we're doing that.
mm, yeah.
So, and that requires this easing off and integrating conflicting parts. Right? And that's where you need awareness, consciousness, realization, right? Right. And so we're working smarter, not harder. Yes. All right.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Comments, thoughts, before we do a close on the topic for the day. Any more?
Anand, you have shared several techniques with us today, right? From tapping to visualization to hand gestures of moving, blending ease with dis-ease. Any particular thoughts on applying any of these for a particular situation?
Yes, which is that I don't have them set up that way. Literally, any of them can apply to any situation. Right? I don't think there's it's different with things like NLP and techniques because they fit certain ones, but really because they're so easy to try, don't worry about it. It's essentially
Am I to just sort of
try them.
think of which resonated with me and
Just pick one. Yeah. If
yeah,
it's not working, pick another one.
yeah.
Right. Do you know what the reason that one of the reasons that's a good strategy is because you're testing the technique by whether it's working rather than a prior ideology of I should use this technique for this, even if it's not working. Right. So if you start doing some tapping and you go, well, that's not working, just go to EMDR or go to havening or go to breathing or painting a mural. It can be anything, right? So literally the willingness to try different things and see the effect they're having, this now makes it dynamic and alive rather than a theoretical. This is the problem with a lot of personal development. People are doing techniques for years, even though they demonstrably don't work for them. Right? Rather than going, well, if it's not working, why do you keep doing it? So I would say get a collection, get the ones that work for you, a few that you kind of like, and then play around with them, add different ones. Different ones will work at different times, sometimes even phases. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Some techniques just, oh yeah, the one, call your energy back out of somebody else's space. That never used to work for me at the beginning, right? Because I was trying to pull their energy out of their space. Right. And after a while, it would just like, if I just say hello to my energy in somebody else's space, it just comes back. I just start differentiating from them. That's what starts to happen. So things that never used to work start working. So it's like, play with the toolkit. Yeah.
When you look at us and or engage with us and you say, well, let's try this. Are you thinking of a particular technique that or in response to whatever it is we're stuck on?
Yes, I mean, it's a felt sense in the moment. In a way, what I do is I kind of go, I'm not really doing this consciously, but I'm kind of going, what would work here? Right, asking that question of the universe and then surrendered, and I just take the first thing that comes. Right. And sometimes it's something I've never done before. Right. So it's a bit like I think comedians talk about this. They just know which joke's gonna land. I'm not talking about when it's like highly structured. They just get a feeling because they're kind of almost like are mentally trying out the joke ahead of time and then checking if it was going to work. So think about this. Nikola Tesla, who many people have heard about, who invented AC and had a huge number of patents. He would create a mental image of a machine in his mind, right? With all the gears and all the pieces and all the rest of it. And then he would run it. He would set it off running in the back of his mind and come back a week later and see where it was worn or where adjustments needed and when they needed to be made before he ever built it in the lab. Right. And so that when he built it, it wouldn't wear down. Right. So it's something about his intuition about how mechanics and how the world works was good enough that he could model things in, right. So for example, with Tia just then, when I go from tapping or havening, It's just a sense that this is going to work or that's going to work. If it's wrong, who cares? Just go to the next thing. Go back and okay, let's switch. So yeah, okay, all right. So if you guys are interested, I am doing Get Moving 3, Flexible Mind, Flexible Body. I'll leave you with the landing page there. I will show you it for a different reason, which is, isn't Fable 5 wonderful? Because this does, I mean, it still looks a little bit like a Claude website, but it's pretty good, right, in terms of being dynamic and responsive with the little lines going across. When I was just in my body, there were no problems, right? So, and you got these little sliders that do different things. Whee! Okay, going from a fixed belief or a braced muscle through to smoothness. It's going to be 4 sessions, starts on Tuesday. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then Tuesday, because we've got the big program is on Monday. So it's in 2 days and 20 hours. And it's only the bargain price of $297. And the benefits will last a lifetime. All right, so the sign up is in chat. Don't sign up if you're in Life Evolution in the big program, because you guys just come and play. And I'm going to do this one, and then there's going to be another one of these kind of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Thursday on the 28th of July, and that is the new brand Freedom to Be Yourself, which is here. There you go, Freedom to Be Yourself. And I'd be grateful if you, there's nothing on it yet, but I'd be grateful if you join the Substack for free. There's no.
So this is a new Substack because I'm on your Substack already.
Yeah, this is a new Substack. It's a new brand that I'm kind of doing in parallel but with somebody in collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So here, one of my clients, he asked me, well, what do you do? What's the essence of, he goes, you've helped my whole family. Like, what do you do? And I go, I guess it's just the freedom to be yourself. I think this is the only happiness. Anyway, so a couple of days later, I get an email from his lawyer and it goes, we've applied for the federal trademark on your behalf. We'll give it to you. I was like, oh, okay. I suppose I better do something now. So, yeah, so it's going to be a broader brand for a larger audience. I don't even know what it's going to contain yet, but I think hopefully it'll speak to the beyond achievement, the comfort to be yourself is everything, and then you can achieve whatever you want in life.
Well, I've pressed subscribe, but I don't know if it was confirmed or not. Pressed it again, so hopefully I didn't, join multiple times for you, but just letting you know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because when you get started, I think I've got less than 10 or something, so it doesn't register them just yet.
And maybe I'll get an email confirmation anyway, but
Oh, it didn't work. You have 2 pending subscribers. Do you have to say yes to them? It may take a few minutes for new subscribers to appear. Okay. Cool.
okay, well,
But there's going to be a bunch of free stuff on there to do with, like, how do you feel comfortable and relaxed in your own skin, and here's the critical point: we all have challenges and flaws and bits of our lives that we're trying to sort out, but the suffering comes only if we go, I must do it, I have to fix it, I have to sort it. Whereas if you go, so what, I'll get round to it this time, lifetime, or next time, it's not a problem, right? And you just keep sorting out the bits that are easy to sort out, it all just kind of works out, you can overall feel more relaxed as a human being. So, all right. Lots of
Thank
love.
you.
And one last thing, if I
Sure.
may ask,
Yeah,
you didn't
go if you
mention
need to
anything
go.
about
Yeah. Yeah, Roy.
TRE,
Yes.
trauma release exercises, right?
Yes.
I had
Yes.
done that years ago and found it very powerful.
Mhm.
Thought it would be applicable for something like this, right? Your body and releasing and yet just wanted to get your thoughts about it and if that's
Sure. Yeah. So if you think about how healing happens, right? Energetics, we're actually bringing our awareness or our consciousness to an aspect of our lives, right? We are systemic, so it's complicated, right? But if you never bring your attention to a certain area, it doesn't change, right? It just stays what it is. Now, the advantage of doing something like TRE in combination with understanding this is that as the releasing is happening and you've got the neurogenic tremors and it's all kind of shifting, you can do two things. One is, once the flow has started, you can turn your attention to something you would like to clear, and the body is in a state where it'll shift, right? And so not only can you control the shaking with your knees and where you put your kind of attention, but you can control healing resolution by where you put your mind as well. Same thing, right? So you can, if you put so don't put your mind on the most traumatic thing that's ever happened that's really, really difficult. Find the things that are in the middle ground that you could even ask, like, what's easy to shift today, or what's available to shift today, or what wants to shift today, and see what your mind gives you, right? So this ability to go back and forth between physical and mental and emotional and energetic and attention, it speeds up the whole kind and makes it much smoother, the whole kind of healing process. So I wouldn't even call it healing at that point. It's like just integration, evolution, transformation process. So do the TRE exercises and then bring your attention to what comes through the mind as well, and the emotions and the body. And the chakras, throw them in as well.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see some of you on Monday, the class. For you guys, I've put some stuff in the shared drive, the presentations from last week, and we'll pick up on that. If you haven't already, then look in your email, send me, or look in the WhatsApp group or the email, and click on the Google Drive to say, give me permission to see it.
Yeah, I've done that and haven't gotten it yet, but perhaps
Okay.
it's just backlogged for you. I only did it a few hours ago, so
Let me just check I got it.
but I would love to review last week's before I missed and would love to review.
Yeah, that's
on
in
Monday.
the Google Drive. Yeah, that's in the group. Share request. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Requesting
Happy
access.
4th of July, everyone.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Bye now.
Bye.
Lots of love. Bye.